folks, welcome to a brand new Finland angling adventure, the first one of 2021. It's the 2nd of March, so where have I been? Trying to fish flooded rivers. They're finally settled down now after about 3 or 4 months of rain and a bit more fishable. Today I'm out on my kayak, as you can see, testing out a new fish finder, a Garmin fish finder. I've tried it a couple of times, but just experimental. This is my first proper day's fishing with it. Trying to find some deep holes or maybe some fish on the bottom or in the middle, wherever. I've seen a few fish the other day. It's a bit risky in the old kayak with pike. I don't want nothing too big, but whatever I get, I'm going to have to try and chin out and unhook in the water. I've anchored up, so I shouldn't get dragged upriver. Saw a couple of fish on my sonar, or what looked like fish earlier, so I've just stopped for a little spell here for a bit of jig fishing. Let it sink. It's not a bad day, a bit misty, perfect for fishing, nice and overcast. Come on, fish. I'd like some big perch, really. That's why I'm not using massive lures. It's showing up on the sonar. All I can see on the sonar at the moment is the anchor rope. Keeps going by in the history section. I've got the transducer right under the middle of the boat, or in the hull of the boat. I tried sticking it on with like a non-hardening putty, but that didn't work. Then I tried sticking it in with silicone, that didn't work. Then I went and bought an arm that fixes to the boat, and then have it over the side, which works, but I like it out of the way really, so I've put it back in the hull again, in a container with a hole in the bottom, which is then silicone to the hull and then filled with water. I'll show you later, and that works. So I'm getting a couple of fish there, just gone under the boat. Or maybe not, that could be the anchor rope and the machine thinking it's a fish. So I haven't been out much over the winter really. Had a few trips, but no success really. No catches worth filming. It's been so much rain in the winter, it's unreal. All my local rivers have been absolutely tanking through for weeks. This river now is completely stopped, so it's nice. This is how I fix my transducer in the hull of my boat. Got a lot of an old tub there. Cut a big hole in the bottom. Haven't cut the bottom completely out, just cut a hole out in the middle, a square, a rectangle. So I left the flanger on the outside so I could silicone that and bed it down, and then also put a bit over the top as well. And I've just bedded this transducer, just put a bead of silicone on the edges and pushed it down. Then you fill it with water and put the lid on. Cut a notch in there for the cable. Only have to fill it half full of water. Pop the lid on, and that's it. That's how I fix my transducer, and I got a real good picture from that, real good reception, good signal. And my battery's on charge. Right, so we connect the battery up. Just pop that in here as well. It's just laid in there at the moment, but eventually I might put it in a box and stick the box down, little plastic box just to protect it. 2 leads come out here, plug into the back of the Garmin, power lead, transducer lead, which goes that way. I've siliconed this little bit of ply onto the boat, then screwed this holder down, and that just slides in. And you can move it whichever way you want. So let's turn it on and try it. So this is the simulator on at the moment with the A scope down here. So this would be exactly what's happening under the transducer in real time, and this would be the history moving across, and any fish that show up will appear as arc shapes like that. They would be fish. But you can have a fish icon on if you want, and I'll show you how to do that if I get it right. Go to appearance, fish symbols, and you can have them on with the arcs as well, so it will show arcs and fish icons. You can also show the depth of those fish if you want, but you can see the depth by this line here anyway, so I don't tend to have that on. So all these little arcs of fish, and then it shows you what it thinks is probably a fish by putting this fish icon on, which I can remove if I want. I noticed the other day when I was dropping a worm down beside the transducer that it came up with a fish icon, so it thought the worm was a fish. So you can't always believe that because it's showing you a fish icon that it is actually a fish. So it's best to turn them off, I think. Turn that off so that you just get the basic shape of an arc shape, which is probably a fish. I won't explain why that it comes up as an arc, but it's to do with the distance travelled by the sonar and the cone and all that. There are videos on YouTube that will explain that better than I can. This would probably be a shoal of bait fish there. You get used to knowing what's what, but it's tricky, but it's good fun. I can get rid of this as well and just have the history, but I like to see this as well, this live action. You can also do what they call a flasher, which is for fishing directly below the transducer, mainly for ice fishing or fishing right under the transducer from a kayak. This is your depth, and then it's showing fish here as well, so you can more or less see the fish come up for a bait if you're dangling a lure or something. But I must admit I prefer the traditional and with the A scope. So that's just the simulator, so that's what it would look like hopefully if you was using it when there was fish in your swim. You can also change the colours if you want, but I quite like to leave it like this. So hopefully when we're out this afternoon we'll see it in action. I've just caught my first pike. Hopefully. Chin him out. Chin him out a bit first. Did have one follow my lure in earlier. Are you going to behave or? Let's see if I can get you around. full pound. Off you go. That was the lure. I'm into another pike. Just dragging my lure across the surface and it nailed it just as it almost left the water. That's a good fight. Just moored in at the edge and he took it straight away. Not sure he's worn out. Pike number 2, about 5 or 6 pound. Hey, off you go. Number 2. There we go. This to the right is what's actually happening right now under the boat, and all this is history. So all these fish are swimming through, but I don't know which way. Loads of them. Could be big perch or pike. Better get back out there. Well, this is what's going on underneath me still. There might only be a couple of fish there, but obviously when they're moving through on the history, it keeps showing them every time it moves through, so it looks like there's hundreds of fish, but there's not. The fish that are there now are a lot under here, but they're different sizes, so there probably is quite a few fish there. Into pike number 3. There's a load of them down here because they're showing on my sonar, so I just lowered my bait and watched it almost take the bait on the A-scope of the screen. Amazing. Right, let's get in. It's a little small one, this one. Makes them even harder to unhook. Loads under here. Oh, he's off. He shook it off. That saves me unhooking him. That was incredible. There's still fish down there. There's quite a lot of fish. I've had a few little knocks and just lost one a minute ago, but I've gone on to a smaller lure because there might be a load of perch down there. That's what I'm hoping for, some big perch. But I've rowed about 2 miles and not seen a fish, and now all these fish are in this little spot, and like I say, I did catch one, so it just goes to show that the finder does work. Otherwise I wouldn't have stopped in this spot. If you was just walking up and down the bank, you probably wouldn't even cast over to this spot, so you'd probably end up catching nothing. Right folks, that's the end of my trip today. I think I had 3, and sort of lost one right at the boat. Good fun. Goes to show that the sonar works. I think in that spot where I was getting a lot of activity, there were some fish, but I think there was also some other stuff that the Garmin was mistaken for fish as well. But there were definitely bait fish there and a few predators, because I had a couple. So this goes to show you can catch with the help of a fish finder when the shoals are sort of few and far between. So it's been quite a good day. Nothing monstrous, but all good fun, and I really enjoyed it. To see something work, to try it and actually see it working in practice is amazing. Thanks for watching folks anyway, and I'll see you on the next trip.